All right, everybody. Well, I think we're going to go ahead and get started. I am sure that we'll have more people coming in. This is always kind of a challenging time of the day, 4 o'clock, as students are heading out the door. But welcome to our monthly webinar. My name is Corey Hall. I am the Director of Curriculum Solutions at STEM Education Works, and my company is based out of Lafayette, Indiana, but I actually am in Eva Beach, Hawaii. So it's kind of a nice thing to be able to, work with my Indiana folks, but also live in paradise, which I like a lot. So this is our monthly series. We do this every Wednesday, the third Wednesday of every month. We change topics. We have guest speakers. Next month, I just wanted to share with you and invite you to our next month's session, which will be Get Your Grant, Funding Your Studio or Classroom. So I will be co-hosting with our brand new professional development coordinator, Shantae Pitts. She's going to be talking us through grants and how do you find them, how do you get them. So please feel free to join us. Okay, and with that, I'm going to go ahead and move us over to the stars of the show today. I want to introduce you to two people that I have thoroughly enjoyed working with, and I'm so grateful that they both agreed to work with us. Our topic today is the partnerships between schools and industry. So I want to introduce you to Jerry Spindler. He is the Early Workforce Development Program Manager at Endress & Hauser, and also Jessi Ellis. She is a teacher, and she's actually in her studio space right now, her design and innovation studio space, and she is with Indian Creek Schools. So welcome to both of you. Thank you again for joining us. And I just wanted to give you both an opportunity. I guess we'll start with Jerry, just to tell us a little bit about yourself and your role at your organization.
Yeah, I mean, you've already mentioned what my title is, Early Workforce Development. And that's a new position that was just created here last year. I've been with the company over 26 years and just moved into this new role, and I manage the STEM lab we just opened in September for K-8 learning.
Fantastic. And Jessi?
Yeah, I am a teacher here at Indian Creek Intermediate and Elementary Schools. For the past, I guess this is probably my 24th year of teaching. I taught all different kinds of grade levels, taught 4th grade, and then I'm now the STEM teacher for K-5. And I facilitate our innovation studio at this time.
Fantastic. So both of you, the reason I know you both is because you worked with INMAC, and I'm going to get this wrong. Lisa, you're going to probably have to jump in because I'm going to forget a word, but INMAC stands for Indiana Manufacturing and Competitiveness Center.
You got it.
Oh, I never get that right. So INMAC has been working for several years now with teachers in Indiana to bring them STEM through these design and innovation studios. We love working with INMAC. They've been a great partner. But what I wanted to ask, and I think I'll start with Jessi, is how did you get connected with INMAC in the first place?
Yeah, so I actually got connected through Endress & Hauser. I have a parent of a student that goes to school here, and she set me up with some grants, which I know you're going to talk about that next time. But she set me up, Endress & Hauser offers some amazing grants to our teachers in this area. And so I was actually awarded a grant through them. And then through that, they saw the things that we were doing here in our STEM program in our school. And so when they were awarded this INMAC grant, then they selected our school, which I think Jerry will talk about that a little bit. They selected our school to put the studio in. So it really was just that parent that came to us and said, hey, you guys are doing great things. You know, we want to have more opportunities for our kids. So reach out to your parents in your school system.
I love that. That is great. And we don't always think of parents as being that community partner, right? That would actually provide that link. And Jerry, in the same way, how did you all get connected with INMAC?
I was told, I wasn't involved at the time, but our director of workforce development attended a microgrant summit at Purdue 2 or 3 years ago and applied for our first micro grant, and that was to help pay for some summer interns. And then we applied a second time, which helped us conduct what really had been a an annual community STEM event for middle school students into a virtual version during COVID, since we couldn't hold it in person. And that paid for the technology platform then to host the event online. But then we learned about these studios that were going into schools around the state. Found out that some had also gone into industry partners. So we looked into it and decided this was something we should apply for. And then that led to the grant, which was awarded for all of the equipment we now have.
Fantastic. And I'm not sure if I asked this part as well, but how did you connect with Indian Creek? I believe it's part of your community. It's in your local area. Okay.
Yes, I mean, Jessi mentioned that it's a school in this county. So our plans with this new innovation studio was to open our doors to the local schools, but Indian Creek happens to be further away. It's probably the furthest from our facilities. So we thought to make them, give them the advantage or have the opportunity and benefit of getting into a studio themselves, and the fact that Jessi was already doing a STEM program, we said we should include that or put it in as part of our grant application. So it kind of came as a package together.
Awesome. And then Jerry, how did you even get into this education outreach program? What was your journey like to get into this situation that you're in right now in this career path?
Yeah, it's interesting. Our company made an investment in a new training center that opened about 8 years ago, and we decided to also use it to provide benefits to the community. And that's when we started this Community Career and Education Forum, which is the annual event I mentioned earlier for middle school students. And that was a major success, really caught on. Every year it's grown bigger and bigger. We invite schools, educators, universities, even other local manufacturers. It's not just Endress and Hauser, but we do host it here on our campus. And then from that, we recognize there is a real desire by educators to have strong industry partners in this community. So evolving to this new studio format, which is a year-round resource, that was really a next logical step for us. And just some history, our founder, who started Endress and Hauser 70 years ago in Switzerland, he started doing something like that in the 50s in Europe, and it became part of our culture, really. And it's still going on there today with a foundation that operates it and funds it, but it spreads even to the US now, as far as, you know, how we want to go about being a partner to the community.
And Jerry, can I just ask a quick add-on question with that?
Yeah.
You all have such an interesting approach to instructing the students that come into your studio with your engineers that come in. So I was just curious if you could just touch on how are you bringing engineers in to work with students?
Yeah, we hire new engineering grads to come in and go through a rotational program. And really part of their duties in their first few rotations while they're here is that they get to be mentors and help run the sessions when the students come here. So, which is a good thing, because we've had some pretty large groups come in, and it's much more than I could do on my own. So I need a lot of help and assistance. So we get, I think, sometimes up to 10 different engineers that, you know, are right out of college that come in and work to help instruct the students that are here on some of these activities.
I always just thought that was a fascinating setup. I absolutely love how that works. So Jessi, tell us a little bit about your journey into STEM and how you wound up where you are right now.
Yeah, so like I said before, I was a fourth grade teacher for about 14 years. And as a fourth grade teacher, I really liked to implement all of the technology, new problem-based learning things that were happening in the world. It's just how I liked to run my classroom. And my principal at the time saw how I was running my classroom and wanted me to do that for the entire school. So we decided to open, the STEM program. So I started out as like a specials teacher. So we had STEM along with music and art and PE. And so it was a rotational thing. So then they would come to me and we would do problem-based learning. And I was just third, fourth, and fifth grade. And then when this we were given this opportunity for the innovation studio, then I moved on to kindergarten all the way now up to 5th grade. And so we just are trying to incorporate it as low down as we possibly can. So.
Fantastic. And then with you, Jessi, were you always interested in STEM in teaching? And was that always going to be your career path, or how did you come into STEM personally?
Yeah, no, I mean, education was just my path. I do not have a STEM certification of any sort at this point in time. It wasn't a thing 24 years ago, obviously. So I just have grown into it and just have taken it on just because I enjoy it myself. When I have 3 children of my own, and my middle son, who actually is a junior this year, it really interested him, and I actually had him in 4th grade. And so that's when I really started implementing it, was trying to reach him, because he's a boy that doesn't really like, to do the normal stuff that 4th graders like to do. So I really wanted to implement it for him and for those kids that just didn't get the traditional type of learning. So, that it was just something to try and reach those kids.
Absolutely. I think that that many of us found our path that way, where it wasn't necessarily the first direction we wanted to go. And we sort of found ourselves there and fell in love with it. Jerry, I want to talk to you just a little bit about why Endress & Hauser, you touched on this a little bit a few minutes ago, but why is Endress & Hauser so invested in education in the local community? Why is that important to you, and why is it important to your company?
Well, the company's very much invested in this because, and to me, but there's no doubt that our company's been growing here, and our business is growing, and we're hiring more and more engineers. I mentioned these rotationals that come in right out of college. We've hired over 100 just in the last 5 years. And we need that talent pipeline. And much of this need, we think, for technicians and engineers, and even advanced manufacturing labor in our factories, and sales engineers, that increasing demand, that's going to be fulfilled by the local schools. They're going to be developing young talent, sending those off to high school, then college someday, and we want to inspire them to move into STEM fields to study, so that they're people we want to hire someday to come and work here, and eventually go into very high-paying jobs, to be honest. And so that's the bottom line for us. It's about sustaining our business and making sure there's a talent pipeline to keep filling the jobs. And we're engaging even the parents to show them how UNH is a great place for their kids to work that's close to home, so they don't have to leave the state of Indiana.
I love that. And I believe one of the events I got to attend at Endress & Hauser, there were parents invited to that event in the evening.
Yes.
If I remember correctly.
When we had
right.
the open house for the studio. Yes.
And there were community members, there were teachers, and there were parents with their kids at the session, which I thought that was really great.
Mm-hmm.
So for both of you, I think I'm going to start with Jessi on this one. Can you talk about your studio space a little bit? What's in your studio space? How is it being used right now?
Okay, yeah. As you can see behind me is our actual studio space. Behind this wall, where looks like a window, I'm very fortunate, and I have 2 spaces that across the hall, or across the wall, I'm sorry, is like seating and chairs and tables. So we can start over there for a large group instruction, and then we move into this space when we need to use the things. I have I always say this wrong every time, Dubots right here on the wall. Right. Yeah. And then behind me, I have the 3D printers, and then against this back wall, you can see the Sphero bots that we have here. And then obviously there's a lot more on different shelves. Right now, the way that our studio space is used is I see the kids once a week, 1 week every 9 weeks. So like 1 week it'll be 5th grade's week. So 5th grade will come in every single day that week, Monday through Friday, and we will come up with some type of project that we're doing. And then I do that all the way down to kindergarten. And then in the off weeks that I don't have, because there's some of those weird weeks in schools, I will tell the teachers, okay, you tell me what you're working on, and then they'll come in and we'll figure out some type of lesson that works into their curriculum. I work my lessons into the curriculum as well, but that can be more specific, and it can tell them, like, I'm trying to give an example. Oh, so next week, actually, what I'm doing is one of my fourth grade classes just finished reading the book Hatchet. And so they're talking about character traits. So they're going to come in and we're going to 3D print a hatchet with a character trait on it. So then all of the kids are going to be able to make that hatchet and take it home with them. So they've studied all this in class. So this is just like a culminating activity at the end of it. So that's how we're using our space right now at this time. So I have kids in here every single day. The amount of kids varies. It can be, I can have 150 kids in here a day, or I can have like 30 kids in here a day. It just depends on, the grade level and what's going on at that time.
Okay, quick question. So do you have a favorite, is there a technology that you see the kids kind of gravitating towards, what their favorite thing to do in the studio is?
Yeah, there's two actually. The 3D printers they love, but they want to just 3D print anything they want. So they see these wild, crazy ideas and they want to 3D print anything they want. And the sphere robots are a huge hit, absolutely huge hit here. They love playing with those and getting them out. And then my younger ones, I guess, they love the Indy cars too. I didn't even mention those, the little that go along with the Spheros. So I had my little first graders again today and they're like, where are the robots? So I said, we'll get them out next time. We'll get them out next time. So yeah, they love everything that I have gotten out in here. So, yep.
That is fantastic. And then Jerry, same question. Can you tell us a little bit about the Endress and Hauser studio space and how that's being used?
I'm
yay!
actually going to attempt at showing you a little bit here. Hopefully this works, but we have the Spheros over there. You can see the kind of the row of robots, the Dobots that are against the wall over there. Over here on the other side of the room, we have the 3D printers, a bunch of laptops, and then we've got iPads that we use for the Sphero bolts. And then we have computers and then the microbit controllers in the box there that are what we use for the microbit labs. Hopefully you were able to see a little bit of that and how we have it set up. But this is a temporary space that we have that's here in our office building, sales office building. Excuse me while I get my camera back on there. So yes, we took this space and essentially it's 1,700 square feet for the lab equipment. And then sometimes we use other rooms around other buildings on the campus when we have a large group and need that extra space. But we conduct most of the labs in here. We also, for high school students, sometimes we have those ages come in here. We can take them on factory tours. So we have our production centers right here, walking distance, and we can take them through and show them the advanced manufacturing. So that's an even added thing that we can do that the schools really wouldn't have that kind of a resource on their own. And then looking ahead, we just announced a $33 million investment in a new innovation center here on this campus. And in that building will be a larger space for this innovation studio. So we're going to even add more equipment, more space, and be able to handle larger groups.
I'm so glad you took us on a tour because your space is so beautiful. I love seeing your space. I love being in that design and innovation studio. It's just a really cool experience for the kids. Yeah. And so I want to ask this.
I'll second that comment that Jessi made, that the bolts seem to be the favorite, except with the youngest groups. They love the Indy cars.
That was my next question. I was going to ask you, what are the technologies that the kids tend to gravitate towards? That is great. So I think one of the things that the people that joined in today really wanted to hear is about the partnership between the two organizations. So Jerry, I'm going to throw it to you first. Can you tell us a little bit about that partnership, how that is working out, how that formed and what it looks like?
Yeah, and like Jessi said, initially we chose Indian Creek because we thought that was going to be a preferred location for an educational partner here in this county. So we included them on our grant application to have a duplicate studio. So it was kind of a bundle application, and then we were both awarded that at the same time. And then they participated in our open house event, came here, and then We also had some things that we put together in terms of um, marketing materials. Our marketing group developed logos, that type of thing. So we shared that collateral with them. I think some of it you can see in the background there is on their walls, banners, different things like that. And then when we hear about new grant opportunities, we pass that information along to Jessi. She can then make her application. So we keep an open line of communications. And then STEM Education Works actually sent people here to do the initial training once the equipment was here and set up. And Jessi was able to come here and participate in that. We learned together, shared ideas, and that kept STEM Education Works from having to go and do a second training at her facility. And then we actually had some of those rotational engineers that developed some of the STL files for some of those 3D printing models that they designed, and we gave those to Jessi, so she had those available to use as models for some of her print labs. And then since then, I guess she and I have shared some emails, had some calls, and talked about best practices and how to overcome a few obstacles. And then we feel like we can do that pretty much any time. And then now we're even offering our employees some volunteer time off as paid time to go spend hours helping her in the schools. We don't know how many have actually reached out yet. Maybe I just found out about it here recently when we were talking. So that's something, if some of our new employees want to do that and actually go to a school facility instead of only here, that's going to be something we can offer to her.
Oh, that is amazing. I love the idea of the volunteers working with the school. That is incredible. And then Jessi, I'm going to throw it right back to you with the same question. Is there anything else you want to discuss about the partnership between Indian Creek and Anderson Hauser?
Yeah, I mean, just the expertise that we don't have in, the public education, I feel like, and I said that at the beginning, reach out to your parents. I don't know as if we do that enough because we just don't think about it, but having that expertise of, I can email Jerry or, and he can have an engineer look at it or whatever. I mean, I am not an engineer. I tell the kids that all the time. I'm like, listen, I teach STEM, but I'm definitely not an engineer. So to get their expertise on stuff is just amazing. The funding opportunities, obviously, that public schools don't have. The corporations are able to, help us with all of that kind of stuff too. I am excited. I mean, Jerry and I have just talked about this volunteer opportunity. So I'm super excited to be able to bring some of those engineers into the classroom to connect that real world, to the kids so they can see this is not just something that Mrs. Ellis is saying, oh yeah, we really use this in life. And then they're like, yeah, right. I mean, you don't know what you're talking about. So to have someone come in and say, no, this is what I do every single day, and I use these type of tools so that they understand, how it connects to the real world. So I'm anxious to start that too.
That is great. Okay, so now I want to ask a fun question. I want to know if you both can share, and I think we'll start with Jessi this time. Can you share a favorite studio story or outcome, something that's happened in your studio that you want to highlight?
Right. So, I mean, I could go on and on about this forever. And it's one of those things that definitely, after teaching for 24 years, I definitely needed something to spark my, creativity again and my passion again, I guess, basically. But just recently, and I brought an example to show you guys, I don't know if you'll be able to see it. I'll hold it up to but my fourth graders were talking about Indiana and the different regions in Indiana. So they 3D printed these, and you can see up here where they put like a little lake, we did an indention, and then down at the bottom they put a few hills down here, but they made a salt dough map in their classroom, and then we actually 3D printed it too so that they could bring the connection of the two together, and they were so excited to see it on all different levels, to see this is how maps are made, and this is everything that's going on. So every day there's something new and something exciting that the kids get so excited about. They're never mad when they have to come see me. So yeah, it's awesome.
You're that teacher now, aren't you? You're that teacher.
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
That is awesome. Jerry, how about you? And I know some of these because we've talked about them, but tell me a favorite studio story or outcome.
Yeah, I think the one top of the list probably in the fall when we had that open house we were talking about. There were school administrators and teachers and, you know, local public officials here. We invited the mayor. He didn't make it, but we talked to them, gave them tours of the studio, presented what we had to offer. The very next day we had the first request for a field trip. It was going to be 32 second graders, and we thought we were going to start off small and work our way up, but we thought, what the heck? So we went ahead and decided to do that and held that event about a week later. And really from that event, when all those teachers were here, the interest has been so high. We've had a number of requests already come in to me to book visits. And then just in January, we've had over 150 students here. And we're expecting about that same amount this month in February.
Wow. That is amazing. I love to hear that. I know when we first started this, you just weren't really sure what that was going to look like or how many numbers you were going to have. And that's just so exciting.
And the key really here for us is getting the word out and making sure all the teachers are even aware. And I think there's still a lot that aren't. So I still have my work cut out for me.
Then let's talk just a little bit. And Jessi, I think we'll start with you. What are the benefits? You guys both mentioned this a little bit, but what are the benefits of having this industry education partnership?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's just having them there for, you know, any kind of questions that we have. Again, the expertise, the funding, you know, just knowing that you have somebody on your side that is actually an advocate for you, because as teachers, we feel like we're kind of on our own little island and we kind of feel like we're sitting here and, you know, is anyone understand what we're doing here? But to have them and knowing that these businesses, you know, kind of are like, yes, you know, they're cheering us on, they're ready for us. They're, you know, they want us to succeed. They want the kids to be ready to go into the workforce. And so they're helping us do that. So just the support is, you know, of knowing that that's there is amazing.
And then, Jerry, how about you? What do you think are the benefits of this industry education partnership?
And like I said before, it didn't really start just with the studio. Several years ago when we opened up the training center and had that annual event, we recognized that the schools really want to be partners with us and we want to help them. So it's a two-way thing. And a lot of it's just about understanding what each other's needs are and trying to help in whatever way we can. So one of the biggest things that we found out was that people right here live in this area, you know, across the street. Some neighborhoods are right here where people drive by our building every day, have no idea at all what we do, what we make, what our business is about. And we're opening our doors, bringing in not just the kids, but their parents, like I said, and the teachers who can then speak about, you know, what we do, what our industry is all about, and even help guide you know, some of the high school kids into the right colleges will help with that. So, I mean, there's just a lot of interaction that goes on that really benefits schools and us.
So I'm going to bring us to a close, but I want to start first with Jessi. I want to ask you, what advice do you have for teachers who want to bring design and innovation studio space into their schools? What advice do you have for them?
Yeah, first of all, I mean, obviously you have to get your admin on board with you. I have wonderful admin support, you know, here, and they want this to, I mean, from the very, very top. I mean, my superintendent just thinks that this place is amazing and he wants to see it succeed as well. So getting them on board is definitely worth it. And an easy way to do that is to write some grants and get some smaller things first, and then show how engaged the kids are when they're actually using those things. Because when they see how engaged the kids are, then they're going to want to implement more and more of that. Reach out to your parents. Again, I cannot stress that enough. I just sent out a Google form recently to my parents asking, you know, what is your field? Like, do you work in STEM, technology, engineering, math? Like, what do you use in your job? And would you be willing to come in and talk to me? Would you be willing to sit down and explain to me, how do you use those things in your work? And then, you know, what can you bring into this? And ask them, you know, hey, do any of your corporations, you know, do they want to give money to a school? Because a lot of times I have found that these places are just looking for schools that are willing to implement some of this stuff. And if you're willing to do it, then, they're going to give you the money for it. Again, small scale, make sure that, you write a few grants. I know you guys are going to talk about that, but if you just type in and Google, STEM grants, they're everywhere. They're out there. They're going to give you some money, and start with something small, show how engaged the kids are, throw it out on social media, do whatever you need to do in order to show how engaged the kids are. That way your admin and your school is going to want you to support you even more in that. So.
And follow up just a little bit with that, Jessi. What about teachers who are looking at this partnership? They want this partnership. Do you have any advice for how teachers can seek out partners in an industry and in the community?
Yeah, I mean, I think the best way is, even to write letters to your different industries that are around in your area. Where our school is, we actually, like Jerry said, we're the farthest, we're the southernmost school in Johnson County, and we don't have a lot of big industries in our area. So I have to kind of overlap with some other schools, bigger schools that are in the northern part of our county. But if you go in there and you write letters, or the best way ever is to have the kids ask. If you have them, I've made a couple of videos of the kids, saying different things, like, hey, we want to use this, we want to do this, can you help us? And they can't say no to kids. So when you send the kids after them too, that always helps too. So just, utilize your parents, utilize your kids, there's all kinds of, different technology things that you can do to send things out. Send an email and, with a little video, and see if you can get those the industry partners on your side.
So Jerry, we're going to go ahead and close with you. I want to ask if you have advice to other industry leaders who want to form partnerships with schools. What would you tell them?
Sure. I'd say, just like Jessi was talking about, start small, make some kind of start or connection now. It doesn't have to be a studio or a major investment. Then you can figure out, what's the level of interest, and how much do they want, or how far do they want to take that and build on that success, and talk and listen to the educators in your area, find out their needs, and where you could help them out. That helps set the path forward, really. And then, because in the end, it's going to benefit the company. So you have to look at it from a benefit or overall ROI perspective. Is it worth the time to do it? But it definitely is. And then for the educators, really just utilize those local resources in industry that are nearby. You might be surprised how much they really do want to help out. They just don't know how to, volunteer, or where to go and who to talk to. So reach out and ask. A lot of schools don't have the funding, and industry, does have some money. So not only financial, but a lot of people who are willing, and highly educated people that want to really contribute time, especially where their kids go to school.
Absolutely. Well, that brings us to the end of our questions. I just wanted to give a very heartfelt thank you to both Jessi and Jerry for spending their afternoon with us. I did want to open it up, if they have time, for about 3 minutes of questions. I did want to open it up and see if anybody had questions. You can use the chat room. If you'll type your question in, I'm going to see if I can see the screen here. We'll throw it out and see if we can get a few questions.
I see that Lisa said something too about contacting NMAC. Yeah, Sasha Harrell is amazing. Her email's on there, so that's definitely a good contact too, to get started with grants and all that kind of stuff too.
Well, okay, then I guess we're going to go ahead and bring this to a close. Again, Jerry and Jessi, thank you so much. I'm sorry we're a few minutes over, but I'm so appreciative of your time. And again, we'd like to invite everybody again next month. We'll talk about grants, so maybe other people can move into doing something similar to what Jessi and Jerry are doing. So have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you again. We'll hope to see you next month.